What does it mean to be authentically Asian American? One way in which authenticity is measured in contemporary Asian American spaces is what some scholars refer to as heritage language fluency, or the level of fluency that an Asian American has in the language most commonly associated with their ethnicity. It isn't uncommon for Asian Americans not fluent in their heritage language to feel that they are not truly authentic, but how does this level of heritage language fluency affect not only the self-identity of Asian Americans, but of others' perception of their authenticity? Based on this question, we were led to investigate existing research on the link between heritage language fluency and ethnic identity and authenticity. In both the articles we studied, language is considered an indicator of ethnicity based on the grounds that it allows for communication in determining in-group and out-groups.
And I realized, oh my gosh, they all know how to speak Korean except me. So that was where I started to question, like, oh, I should learn Korean too because they all know it.
Like personally, I've been judged just by the way I talk and the fact that I don't speak a second language. At my school that was predominantly Asian, I would be disincluded from group projects because they didn't think that I could contribute an equal amount because I was seen as less intelligent and less smart.
In Soo-Young Kim and Ruth K. Chow's study, Heritage Language Fluency, Ethnic Identity, and School Effort of Immigrant Chinese and Mexican Adolescents, they found that earlier generation Chinese Americans were more likely to posit heritage language fluency as a core part of their authentic cultural identity, while later generations hold heritage language fluency as less important to determining how Chinese they were. They also found that first and second generation Chinese, regardless of level of fluency, had similar ethnic identity levels. This would suggest that heritage language fluency is not the deciding component in one's self-identity.
Hae-Young-jo's study, Negotiating Ethnic Identity in the College Korean Language Classes, also supports this claim and posits that learning a heritage language does not necessarily lead to the formation of a homogeneous ethnic identity. What her study shows is that within a Korean language class, students are placed on a meter of Koreanness and Americanness based on their performance in the class, which causes some students to feel more authentic than others. Both articles agree that the great diversity in the educational and socioeconomic backgrounds of Asian Americans causes a large variance in their attitudes towards heritage language fluency as a marker of ethnic authenticity. The studies then assert that knowing the language or not is too simple of a way of assuming cultural authenticity. These studies definitely give insight to how heritage language fluency influences how Asian Americans view their own authenticity, but we wanted to investigate further how authenticity can be perceived differently by the self versus how it is perceived by others. Our research shows that while heritage fluency has an effect on Asian Americans' feelings of self-authenticity, it is not thought of as the main indicator of their identity. The interviews supported the literary review's claims that high ethnic identity was achievable with low heritage language fluency, as well as the fact that language fluency does not affect the identities of Asian Americans uniformly, as is seen in Allie and Jones's cases.
I think in regards to how other Asian Americans view me, in a sense, like because I'm able to like speak the language and basically communicate with other people through that, I feel like by their standards, I kind of honestly feel like more impressive to them because I'm able to speak.
Well, also going back to the fact that I'm half white, like when I talk to my cousins, they're like, oh, you're not really Asian, and I'm like, well, yes, I am, because I still have that half of me that's like grown up with Asian culture and understands it.
However, all of the interviewees seem to agree that they did feel pressure from outside forces that affected their sense of authenticity in regards to their ability to speak or not speak their heritage language, from family and classmates alike. The assumption by others that heritage language fluency, as an important component of cultural authenticity, is prevalent in all the interviewees' cases, even despite the fact that heritage language fluency was unattainable or avoided for a multitude of reasons, ranging from the language becoming extinct to personal factors such as not excluding a family member who was deaf.
When I went to Chinese school, it was to learn Cantonese, but to learn Toisan is basically impossible if you don't have family members that speak it.
Then assert that as a whole, the community should be more aware of the multitude of reasons for which Asian Americans lack heritage language fluency, and the association between lack of fluency and ethnic identity should be severed. Asian Americans of all ethnicities and generations have reasons for not speaking their heritage language, whether it be lack of resources, the demography in which they live in, or personal reasons, and the strong association with the ability to speak or write an ethnic identity creates walls within the community. We urge people to be knowledgeable of these obstacles and to allow Asian Americans' authenticity to be determined based on their own self-identities rather than on essentialist views of performing cultural acts.
I mean, I don't know my own language, but I think I'm an authentic Asian American. I think just being real and being who you are makes everyone authentic.